कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन बल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा बनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन बल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीरा बनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन बल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीरा बनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन बल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीरा बनचारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय जगन्नाथ Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritva Naram Chayo Narotamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Sunvatam Swakatha Krishna Punyasravana Kirtanaha Hridayanto Tohi Avadrani Vidunati Supratam नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतं सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्ठिकी Hare Krishna everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So today we'll be discussing from verse number 26, first canto, 9th chapter, verse 26 onwards. So please repeat after me. पुरुषा स्वभावविहितान्
पुरुष स्वभावविहितान्
यथा वर्णं यथाश्रमम्
यथा वर्णं यथा
यथा
श्रमम्
वैराग्यरागोपाधिभ्यम्
वैराग्यरागोपाधिभ्याम्
वैराग्यरागोपादिभ्याम्
अमानतोऽभ्यलक्षणम्
अमानतो भयलक्षणम्
अमानतोऽभ्यायलक्षणम्
पुरुष पुरुष स्वभावविहितान्
पुरुषा स्वभावविहितान्
यथा वर्णं यथा श्रमम्
यथा
यथा
वर्णं
वर्णं
यथाश्रमम्
यथाश्रमम्
वैराग्यरागोपादिभ्याम्
वैराग्यरागोपाधिभ्याम्
वैराग्यरागोपाधिभ्याम्
आमनातोभ्यलक्षणान्
आमनातुभ्यो लक्षणाम्
अमनातोऽभ्यलक्षणान्
पुरुषा स्वभावविहितान्
पुरुषा स्वभावविहितान्
पुरुषस्वभावविहितान्
यथा वर्णं यथाश्रमम्
यथा
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 वर्णं
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 यथाश्रमम्
यथाश्रमम्
वैराग्यरागोपादिभ्याम्
वैराग्यरागोपाधिभ्याम्
वैराग्यरागोपाधिभ्याम्
वैराग्यरागोपादिभ्याम्
नाथो भयलक्षणम्
अमानतो
लक्षणान्
अमानतोऽभयालक्षणान्
भयालक्षणाम्. Anyone else? Okay. Little synonyms. Purusha, the human being.
Purusha, the human being.
Swabhava, by his own acquired qualities.
Swabhava, by his own acquired qualities.
Bihitan, prescribed.
Vihitan, prescribed.
Yatha, according to.
Yatha, according to.
according to
Varnam, classification of castes.
Varnam, classification of caste.
Yatha, according to.
Yatha, according to.
according to
Ashramam, orders of life.
Ashramam, orders of life.
orders of life.
Vairagya, detachment.
Vairagya,
Vairagya,
detachment.
detachment.
Raga, attachment.
Raga, attachment.
Upadibhyam, out of such designations.
Upadibhyam, out of
Out of
such
designation.
designations.
Amnata, systematically.
Amnata,
Nata,
systematically.
systematically.
Ubhaya, both.
Ubhaya,
Ubhaya,
both.
both.
Lakshanam, symptoms.
Lakshanam, symptoms.
Symptom.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Hesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
At Maharaj Yudhishthir's inquiry, Bhishma Dev first defined all the classification of caste and orders of life in terms of individual qualifications. Then he systematically, in twofold divisions, described counteraction by detachment and interaction by attachment. We have a big purport. Let's first recite the prayer, then we'll read one paragraph at a time. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Okay, so we'll read one para at a time, then we'll discuss. The conception of four castes and four orders of life, as planned by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita 4.13, is to accelerate transcendental qualities of the individual person so that he may gradually realize his spiritual identity and thus act accordingly to get free from material bondage or conditional life. In almost all the Puranas, the subject matter is described in the same spirit, and so also in the Mahabharata. It is more elaborately described by Bhishma Dev in the Santi Parva, beginning from the 16th chapter. Okay, so we are discussing the chapter. The title is The Passing Away Bhishma Dev. So now Bhishma Dev answering to the inquiry done by Yudhishthira Maharaj. So Bhishma Dev is about to leave his body. So before that, he told the significance of Lord Sri Krishna, who is present among the Pandavas. He is the Supreme Lord. And also Bhishma Dev glorified in a various way to put the highest position of Krishna himself. He is the Supreme Lord, and he advised Pandavas to simply follow his instruction and go with his plan, instead of lamenting for what has happened. And whatever happened, it's not because of Pandavas or especially Yudhishthira Maharaj reason. It's Krishna's will, and Krishna wanted to have this war happen, and that's why this war happened, and everyone were killed. So now, after listening this, Yudhishthira Maharaj inquired various things. So in the next three verses, it describes what Bhishma Dev told to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Okay, so if you see that in this verse, Bhishma Dev is saying, Purusa Swabhava Bihitam Yatha Varnam Yatha Asram. So he started, the first thing he started to explain about the Varnasrama Dharma. Okay, he very elaborately he explained the Varnasrama Dharma. Varna and Asrama. If you see that, Yatha Varnam Yatha Asram. So first he started. So first defined the classification of the caste and orders of the life. So he talks about all varnas, then all ashrams. So we know that there are four varnas. And what are the four varnas we have, or in a Vedic culture has?
Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishnava, Shudra.
So that is a four varnas, right? So, and what are the four ashramas we have?
Varna,
vanaprastha, brahmachari, and grihastha.
Grihastha.
So from the brahmachari ashram, right? Then we have grihastha, then vanaprastha, and finally the sannyas order, renunciation order. So Bhismadev explained each category very elaborately. So how each category is defined and what are their responsibility and what are their duties, that's explained in detail. So in the verses, what happens, right? Especially in the Srimad Bhagavatam, what else Bhishmadev explained, it did not mention very elaborately. Means Bhishmadev will talk about lot of things. Next verse also we'll read that. He talks about very elaborately all the varnas and ashrams, because he started this topic with varnasrama dharma, because that is the starting point of, explaining all different dharmas. And it says that in a Santi Parva, in Mahabharata, in that chapter, it talks about all detail about all these things, like what else the points Bhishma Dev has mentioned, that everything is mentioned there. But in Srimad Bhagavatam, because the Srimad Bhagavatam is it is ultimate goal, right? Srimad Bhagavatam is Amala Purana. It's not, it won't talk about, especially Vyasadeva did not put lot of information on this, all these topics, because all these topics are already present in all the Vedas. He already compiled all the Vedas and the Upanishad, or talk about Vedanta Sutra and so many scriptures. He talks about this subject matter only. So he did not want to put any more. So he just shortly, he put this, But if you want to know more detail, then we have to go in the Santi Parva and other Puranas. But Prabhupada, what he did in his purport, he wants to put this all topics in detail, so that the devotees, the readers, they can understand, because they can go and read those scriptures, right? So he put it. So in the here, Prabhupada, let's read para 1 everything. The conception of the four caste of the order of life is to as planned by himself. So in 4.13, Krishna says, right, Chaturvarnam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasaha, right? So all these varnas and ashrams, So here, Chaturvarnam Maya Srishtam, Guna Karma Vibhagasaha. So again, many times we try to find out, okay, exactly the definition of these varnas and ashrams, but it looks like, right, this all in detail we can find in a various scriptures like Puranas and Ityasas. It's mentioned in very detailed way. So that is what Krishna says, that I know it's all created by me. Varnas and ashrams are created by me. Is to accelerate the transcendental qualities of individual persons, so that he may gradually realize his spiritual identity and thus act according to get free from material bondage and conditional life. So why this is all the varnas and ashramas are created? Because the different division of people can elevate to the spiritual platform by performing their occupational duties, their duties and responsibilities. Varnas, what? It's divided based on the nature, the occupational duties, right? What activities the group of people will perform. Like if you see that Sudras, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas and Sudras. So Brahmanas are a higher caste in the order. So Brahmanas are very elevated people, and their occupational duty is to understand Brahman, to study scriptures, and they are very close to the God. They worship the God. They perform all different ritualistic activities, yajnas and everything. So they are. It's considered as, they are very close to the God. It's like, they are the if you talk about the body of the Lord, they represent entire face of the Lord, the because they perform all kind of things, and their duty is to learn the Vedas, learn the scripture, fully acquainted with this spiritual knowledge, and perform different spiritual activities. And at the same time, their very important duty is to teach the other three category of the people. They have to educate, they have to give this scriptural knowledge, this spiritual knowledge, to rest three category of the people. That's their duty, their responsibilities. And they have taken very very important responsibility in the varnas, all the varnas, right? Because they have to educate all the different categories of people in the spiritual life, because spirituality is the highest, right? Because everyone should be knowing this knowledge, understand the Lord, understand the relationship with the Lord. Everyone should aware of, they should know is, and they should know how to implement this. So that knowledge should be provided by Brahmana categories. So that is what it is. Let's read the second paragraph. Anyone would like to read the second one?
Prabhuji, I will read.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ashrama Dharma is prescribed for the civilized human being. This to train him successfully terminate human life. Self-realized is distinguished from the life of the lower animals engaged in eating, sleeping, hearing, and mating. Bhishma Deva advised for all human beings 9 qualifications. 1. Not to become angry. 2. Not to lie. 3. To equally distribute wealth. 4. To forgive. 5. To beget children only by one's legitimate. 5. 6. To be pure in mind and be hygienic in body. 7. Not to be inimical towards anyone. 8. To be simple. And 9. To support servants and subordinates. One cannot be called a civilized person without acquiring the above-mentioned preliminary qualities. Besides this, the Brahmanas, the intelligent men, the administrative men, and the mercantile community and the labor class must acquire special qualities in terms of occupational duties mentioned in all the Vedic scriptures. For the intelligent man, controlling the senses is the most essential qualification. It is the basic of morality. Sex indulgence, even with a legitimate wife, must also be controlled, and thereby family control will automatically follow. An intelligent man abuses his great qualifications if he does not follow the Vedic way of life. This means he must seriously make a study of the Vedic literatures, especially of the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita. For learning Vedic knowledge, one must approach a person who is 100% engaged in devotional service. He must not do things which are forbidden in the Shastras. A person cannot be a teacher if he drinks or smokes. In modern system of education, the teacher's academic qualification is taken into consideration without evaluation of his moral life. Therefore, the result of education is misuse of high intelligence in so many ways. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So if you see that, right, Bhishma Dev, when he started his instructions, right, first he glorified the Lord, and then he told that how should the Pandavas treat Krishna. He told that do not consider Krishna, who is the supreme Lord himself, as your maternal uncle. He is the supreme Lord, he's present. So he put that importance of the spiritual knowledge, or surrendering to the Lord process. That's a bhakti process. He put that thing. But whatever he's talking now, he didn't mention that. He was not planning to talk about all these things, right? He knew that important is bhakti, and let's point out that let's explain. He thought that let me explain Yudhishthira Maharaj that what he is doing is not wrong. He's following in the footsteps of Krishna, so he is not doing at all anything wrong. So just simply follow his instruction and go with the plan. That's what he said. But whatever he spoke, speaking now, right? Varnasrama dharma. Then next verse you'll see that he will talk about Sri dharma and what else? Other dharmas. He'll take Raja dharma. He talks about moksha dharma. Sri dharma, Bhagavad, everything he spoke. But he was not planning to talk all these things. So he was just planning to leave his body. But before that, Yudhishthira Maharaj did not stop. He said that, okay, I came here to ask me a question. I came here to, clarify my doubts. So that's why, before I leave, these are my questions. In the previous verse we discussed, he inquired all these things. Now, because Yudhishthira Maharaj asking everything, then he started to explaining from the basic. He started from Varnasrama dharma, all the different kinds of dharma he talks, and finally again he brings, all the Bhagavad dharma. He concluded with the Bhagavad dharma. Even though he spoke everything, he concluded with the Bhagavad dharma because again he wants to put the point that Bhagavad dharma is the top dharma. That anyway that has to be followed. So we'll see that in next verses. So here, if you see, he while explaining the Varnasrama dharma, Bhishma Dev advised for all human beings 9 qualification. Very nice qualification, and it's almost in line with what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the qualities of a pure devotee, right? See, 9 points he mentioned. Not to become angry, not to lie, to equally distribute wealth, to forgive, to beget children only for one's legitimate wife, to be pure in mind and hygienic in body, not to be inimical towards anyone, to be simple, to support servants and subordinates. So if you analyze this thing, right, not to become angry, right? So angry is the, it's like why the angry comes. We know that angry comes when we, if you go back to the anger, right? Why the anger comes? In the verse in the Bhagavad Gita says that dhayato vishyan pumsa sanghas tesu prajayate sanghas sanjayate kamat krodhat abhijayate. The krodha, the anger comes. That is the root cause of anger. It boils down to the sense gratification. Vishyan, that dhayato vishyan pumsa sanghas. When we want to enjoy something, we want to get something, some material things, and when you don't get that, the sangha sanjayate kama, when the attachment becomes more lust, and lust, when you don't get, finally it manifests as anger, right? So those are things. Not to lie, we have to be, not to lie means we never should be lie, so that is what, again, brahmanical qualities. To be equal distributed wealth, and to forgive, compassion, to beget children only in legitimate wives. So it's also our 4 regulative principle. One of the 4, to be pure in mind and hygienic, so that's the hygienic, pure in mind, purity, sauchyam, that's what we do not want to have in a 4 regulative principle. Not to be inimical towards anyone, no enemies, be simple, humility, simple, these all qualities, support servant and subordinates, to support servants, whoever in the lower caste. So these are them. One cannot be called civilized person without acquiring above mentioned preliminary qualities. So that's what he said. Beside these, the Brahmanas, the intelligent men, the administrative men, the mercantile community and labor must be acquired special quality in terms of occupational duties mentioned in the Vedic. So every 4 varnas have a defined, all this prescribed their occupational duty. So I goal is that every category, they'll perform the occupational duty, so that in every society there will be a balanced equilibrium, and each society is helping others. So our final goal is to come to the platform of spirituality. So this is what it talks about. This all verse. Let's go to the next paragraph. Anyone would like to read this?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Prabhuji, it's not echoing, right?
Yeah, it's good now.
Okay. Um, the Kshatriya, the member of the administrative class, is especially advised to give charity and not to accept charity in any circumstances. Modern administrators raise subscriptions for some political functions, but never give charity to the citizens in any state function. It is just the reverse in the injunctions of the Sastras. The administrative class must be well versed in the Sastras, but must not take to the profession of teachers. The administrators should never pretend to become non-violent and thereby go to hell. When Arjuna wanted to become a non-violent coward on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he was severely chastised by Lord Krishna. The Lord degraded Arjuna at that time to the status of an uncivilized man for his avowed acceptance of the cult of non-violence. The administrative class must be personally trained in military education. Cowards should not be elevated to the presidential throne by dint of numerical votes only. The monarchs were all chivalrous personalities, and therefore monarchy should be maintained provided the monarch is regularly trained in the occupational duties of a king. In fighting, the king or the president should never return home without being hurt by the enemy. The so-called king of today never visits the warfield. He is very much expert in artificially encouraging the fighting strength in the hope of false national prestige. As soon as the administrative class is turned into a gang of mercantile and laborer men, the whole machinery of government becomes polluted. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you are in mute, Prabhuji.
Okay, sorry. So the Brahmanas described here the quality of Kshatriya. So what is their occupational duty? Kshatriyas are administrative class, and their duty is to protect all the rest all varnas. So Brahmanas' duty is to teach, educate about spiritual knowledge. Kshatriyas is to protect the rest three category of varnas. So they should not be covered. That's what Prabhupada is saying that. And it doesn't mean that the Kshatriyas should not be educated with shastras. They should be executed with the shastra, because without the shastric knowledge, how can they rule? If you see that in earlier, all were Rajarsri. Rajarsri means what? They are the kings, but at the same time, they were very pious kings, basically. They are very strong in the spiritual knowledge. Their bhakti also strong. That's why they call Rajarsri, and that should be the nature of the Kshatriyas. They should be well versed with all the knowledge, spiritual knowledge. They should be very pious, unless until they are well versed with the Shastra, then how can they rule their kingdom, right? They should be executed, but they should not become like a teacher. That's what Prabhupada is saying here. Kshatriya's duty is to protect, fight against, fight with enemies, protect their kingdom, protect all kind of uh, protection for all different kind, families, kids, streets, the women category. And at the same time, it says that they have to give the charities. That's what important. They have. It's not that they they just leave like that. So that's what it mentions. So, and Prabhupada says, like, what happens in today's today's time, right? The Kshatriyas are, the presidents, the leaders are coming out of boards and, and they're not, uh, so the monarchs are well-placed personality. So it's all said that. The so-called kings of today never visit the war field. He is very much expert in artificially encouraging the fighting strength in the hope of false nation prestigious. So these are purposes. Let's go to the next category. Anyone would like to read?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes.
One second. The Vaishyas, the members of the mercantile communities, are specially advised to protect the cows. Cow protection means increasing the milk production, namely curd and butter. Agriculture and distribution of the foodstuff are primary duties of the mercantile community, backed by education in Vedic knowledge and trained to give in charity. As the Kshatriyas were given charge of the protection of the citizens, Vaishyas were given the charge of the protection of the animals. Animals are never meant to be killed. Killing of animals is a symptom of barbarian society. For a human being, agricultural produce, agricultural produce, fruits and milk are sufficient and compatible foodstuffs. The human society should give more attention to animal protection. The productive energy of the laborer is misused when he is occupied by industrial enterprises. Industry of various types cannot produce the essential needs of man, namely rice, wheat, grains, milk, fruits, and vegetables. The production of machines and machine tools increases the artificial living fashion of a class of wasted interests and keeps thousands of men in starvation and unrest. This should not be the standard of civilization.
Okay. So Vaishya, next category is Vaishya, right? It's mercantile communities. So their occupational duty is to produce food items, uh, protection of the cows and animals, produce produce milk product, produce agriculture products, and supply that food to rest three category of the people. So they produce all kind of food items. The basically the business people, right? These are the business people. They in return, what they do, they provide the food items to all the three categories of people. And if you see, the very importantly says that in this category also there should be, Prabhupada is saying, in fact these are all coming from Bhishma Dev, that even Vaishya categories also, they should be also well versed with the scriptural knowledge, the scriptural Vedic knowledge, and trained to give in charity. They should be trained. See the what is saying that the primary duties of mercantile community backed by education in Vedic knowledge and trained to give in charity. Okay, they should be trained to, they should be learned, in that how to give charities, and also trained in the Vedic knowledge. So that should be the okay. And Prabhupada is saying that the animal, why should we protect the animals? All very nicely. So that's what Vaishyas. And let's go to the next category. Anyone would like to read next paragraph? Anyone else there?
I can read Prabhuji again.
Okay, go ahead.
The Shudra class is less intelligent and should have no independence. They are meant for rendering sincere service to the three higher sections of the society. The Shudra class can attain all comforts of life simply by rendering service to the higher classes. It is specially enjoined that a Shudra should never bank money. As soon as the Shudra accumulate wealth, it will be misused for sinful activities in wine, women, and gambling. Wine, women, and gambling indicate that the population is degraded to less than Shudra quality. The higher castes should always look after the maintenance of the Shudras, and they should provide them with old and used garments. A Shudra should not leave his master when the master is old and invalid, and the master should keep the servant satisfied in all respects. The Shudra must first of all be satisfied by the sumpter's food and clothing before any sacrifice is performed. In this age, so many functions are held by spending millions, but the poor laborer is not sumptuously fed or given charity, clothing, etc. The laborers are thus dissatisfied, and so they make agitation.
It clearly explains, right? What is the Sudras? The fourth class is Sudra category, less intelligent and should have no independence. So they should not be independent. They should depend on all from other three category, and they're meant for rendering sincere service to three higher section of the society. So they have to serve, the other three category. The Sudra class can attain all comfort of life simply by rendering service to higher class. So it is specially enjoyed that Sudra should never bank money. So they should not accumulate lots of wealth. They should all depend on the other three category, And Prabhupada is giving all the example like the Sudra must first all satisfy by some food and clothing before any sacrifices is performed. Okay, so this is what important, that as soon as Sudra accumulated wealth, it will be misused for sinful activities, wine gambling. So that's why wine, women, and gambling indicate that this population degraded. So that's why the higher caste should always look after the maintenance of the Sudras. So Sudras, higher caste should always take care of the Sudras. They should not be allowed to keep money like that. Otherwise, they will misuse. That's what Prabhupada is saying. Let's go to the last paragraph of this verse. Advika would like to read. Yeah.
The Varnas are, so to speak, classifications of different occupations, and Ashrama Dharma is gradual progress on the path of self-realization. Both are interrelated, and one is dependent on the other. The main purpose of ashrama dharma is to awaken knowledge and detachment. The brahmachari ashrama is the training ground for the prospective candidates in this ashrama.
No, this is a new. In this ashrama, it is.
In this ashrama, it is instructed that this material world is not actually the home of the living beings. The conditioned souls under material bondage are prisoners of matter, and therefore self-realization is the ultimate aim of life. The whole system of ashrama dharma is a means to detachment. One who fails to assimilate the spirit of detachment is allowed to enter family life with the same spirit of detachment. Therefore, one who attains detachment may at once adopt the fourth order, namely renounced, and thus live on charity only, not to accumulate wealth, but just to keep body and soul together for ultimate realization. Household life is one who is attached, and the vanaprastha and sannyasa orders of life are for those who are detached from material life. The brahmachari ashrama is especially meant for training both attached and detached.
Okay. So this last point is talks about four ashramas, right? So we know the ashramas are brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. So in the verse, what it says, these four ashramas, right? Vairagya rago padibhyam amanatobhya lakshanam. So this uh, so it's these four orders, four ashramas. Okay, that talks about it's divided by attachment and detachment. So how it says that the brahmachari say that um, different occupation, the ashrama dharma is gradually progress on the path of self-realization. Both are interrelated. The varnas and ashramas are both are interrelated. Especially the ashramas, you gradually, um, take us to the spiritual realization. The main purpose of ashrama dharma is to awaken knowledge and detachment. Okay, so brahmachari ashram is trained ground. So brahmachari are is the student's life. Where they're trained and the students' life, and they develop. How to detach from material. In the ashrama, it is instructed that the material world is not actually the home for the living being. That is what Then when you grihastha ashrama is the household. It's like married life. You know, Married life also. It's the ashrama. Like we need to. The aim of our ashrama also, or our activity should be a self-realization only. If it is not self-realization, if our aim of life or our being in a grihastha ashram or in a married life, if you uh, do not um, uh, do not desire, we do not have a desire for self-realization, then it's not called ashrama, it's called griha medhi, right? So similarly, we have a Vanaprastha. After certain age, we should leave this household life and live separately in a Vanaprastha life. Means not keeping any attachment to any family or any material things. And finally, the sannyas order. It's a renounced order life. So this is all talks about all the four ashramas. Yes. So it says that one who fails to assimilate the spirit of detachment is allowed to enter into the family of life with the same spirit of detachment. Therefore, one who attains detachment may at once adopt the fourth order, namely renounced, and thus live on a charity only, not to accumulate wealth, but just to keep the body and soul together for ultimate realization. So the sannyasas are lives on only charity, right? They do not have any source of income, just to keep body and soul together. That's why they need that charity. Otherwise, their job is to always, uh, stay renounced, completely renounced from this world. But in currently our sannyasas, they're not literally, renounced from this world, but they stay in this world and preach to the rest of the world, because that's also their duty, to preach that, to give this knowledge to rest of the world. So house life is for one who is attached, and Banaprastha and Sannyasa order life are those who are detached from material life. The Brahmacharya ashram is specially meant for training both the attached and detached. So there are attachment and detachment. So it's saying that, right? Brahmachari is trained both attachment and detachment. It's a student's life, right? Then if you want to go to the next stage, attachment with this material world, then they'll go for a grihastha life. If they're completely detached, then completely jump to the vanaprastha and sannyas life. So that is what it's all talks about. This all subject matter Bhishma Dev in elaborately. Purusa Swabhava Vihitan Yatha Varnam Yathasram Vairagya Ragopadhivyam Amanatobhya Lakshanam. Okay. Any questions, comments in this verse? Purport. Hare Krishna.
Very
Hare
nicely
Krishna.
explained, Prabhuji, about Varnas and Ashramas. Every detail is given here.
Yeah,
Very-
yeah, yeah. I mean, so if you think about our current situation, Varnasrama dharma is not followed in that strictly, because if you see that how it is possible, right, in this current age, current situation, is it possible to follow the four categories and four varnas and four asramas life, right? It's That's also we need to understand, but we need to understand what is the goal of all these varnas and asramas. The goal is to reach the spiritual platform, right? That is the goal. But in current situation, in our Bhagavad dharma, or following the path of Bhagavad, right? Although it's not mentioned in a four different categories in detail, or it's not followed in detail, but the ultimate goal is what that is followed, right? If you see,
Correct.
especially, uh, ultimate goal is to follow the spirituality, instead of, okay, in this current age, time and circumstances, the varna sama is not possible, but we are not away from the ultimate goal. That is what we are following. Doesn't matter you are in a sudras, brahmana, or whatever category, but important is that if you are following, if you are catching the root or not, the ultimate goal or not, that is what spirituality, that is what um, the Bhagavad dharma, that is what we are following, so that is important, rather than, okay, should we in that we are in a kshatriya quality, should we uh, go for that or not? Even first of all, in a Kali Yuga, everyone is Sudra, by birth everyone is Sudra, because we had not developed that quality. Even though people claim that, okay, I born in a Brahmana family, so I am Brahmana. It's not that, by birth everyone is Sudra, but by duty, by work, they can be categorized with all different category. And still, if you are psychophysical nature is that, right? You are Kshatriya, by nature you are Kshatriya, you want to fight, and yeah, you obviously you can go and join the armies, we have every country has the armies, and in a protection administrative, join in the armies, and different what do you call, protection agent departments are there, they can join and protect that. Similarly, if their psychophysical nature is pious, they want to perform Brahmanical activity, they can perform the Brahmanas. It's not only that, only the people who born in a Brahmana family, they can perform all deity worship and everything. In ISKCON, what those who are develop the Brahmanical quality, they are eligible to perform the deity worship, right? That's what allowed Prabhupada. In fact, Prabhupada also allowed women to perform deity worship. Yes. But in the Vedic culture, women are not allowed to perform Vedic, the ritualistic activities or deity worship, etc. But with the time, place, and circumstance, Prabhupada allowed this, because in fact in India still it is not followed, but especially in Western countries, those who develop the Brahmanical qualities, irrespective of the men and women, they have a pure Brahmanical qualities. Brahmanas means what? Those who understand the Brahman, right? Very detail, they have all the qualities of Brahmanas. They can perform the deity worship. There's no doubt. So similarly, the we have a Vaishyas. There are many mercantile people. They, if their nature is to do business, earn money, they can also join the category. But if you see in the today's purport, Prabhupada is saying that in every category, every varnas, the main important factor is the devotional service. That should be there. Ultimate goal is to you perform that activity, that, and slowly, elevate to the position in a devotional service. And the ashramas, right? Whatever the ashramas is there, if you perform the devotional service, if you bring the Krishna, we keep the Krishna in the center and we perform everything. That's what goal, and we are achieving that. That should be our focus. Okay. Any other comments you'd like to say? Yeah, this is
And
very.
as we say that we all are Shudras, so for specific, if you look at the specifications of Sudras, it says we should not even accumulate wealth, and it should be like old garments should be given to them. I don't say it is completely not possible, because if we consider everybody Shudra, then it is everybody has to earn for their own livelihood. But yes, at the same time, it has been told that whatever we earn, to some extent, to some percentage of whatever we earn, we should give it to the service to Krishna.
Yes, and also, right, when it says that we by birth we are Sudra, but it's not that by work we can elevate it to other. We can by work we can elevate it to
Yeah,
we can become a Brahmana,
correct.
right? By developing that Brahmanical qualities and everything, we can become a Brahmana. But default is Sudra, right?
Yeah.
Then can go upper and thing. And especially especially the householder, right, they have a very big responsibility, because the ashramas, if you talk about the 4 ashramas, householder is the one who have a earning capability, right, who earns money, and they have a very big responsibility for other 3 ashramas, because other 3 ashramas, they are not uh, earning any money, they do not have any source of income. So the grihasta's job is to mm, provide all kind of help to live, right? So that's why we need to whatever the income we have, we need to provide charity. So that's why for ashrama we need to donate them to sannyasis. They don't have anything. Sannyasi completely uh, live on others you know uh, charity, correct? So even banaprasthas, they do not have any source, and brahmachari, they're students, right? They don't have again any source of income. So that's why grihasthas is um, very important responsibility in the ashrama, for ashramas. Again, if you talk about spiritual advancement, it's very difficult also in the grihastha ashram, because grihastha ashram is the one who is very closely in touch with this material world, right? Being in the material world, they have to develop the uh, spirituality, and at the same time they have to perform their duties, occupational duties there. In other words, they have to maintain their paradharma and apadadharma. It's very difficult job, in the grihastha ashram. But other ashram, we see that they do not have that responsibilities. I mean, what you say, I mean, they have different responsibility, but they are not involved in these family matters, worldly affairs. They are not that much into these worldly affairs. Their goal is to spirituality. They're completely detached. That's what in this verse in the Prabhupada says that um, Vanaprastha and sannyasis are in a detached life, whereas Grihastha is attached life, and students' life or brahmacharis are educated in both attached and detached, right? So that means being attached in this material world, it's very difficult task to aspire for spiritualities and come to the stage of spirituality. Okay, so we have a biggest responsibility and very difficult responsibility, as you know we are in a very difficult situation also.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
Prabhuji,
I
what
think
about
I think yeah.
Prabhuji? What about the Bhishma Stuti? Prabhuji, unmute.
Yeah, what is your question?
No, Prabhuji, I was asking that means you said not to do Bhishma Stuti every day. Means someone will sing Bhishma Stuti.
Yeah, we'll start that from the 32nd verse. When the 32nd verse starts. So today, again, tomorrow verse is the biggest purport, and the next two verses are there. Where Bhishma Deva instruction to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Once this two is done, then from 29, 30, and 31 will again it will be the preparing. Bhishma Deva is preparing to leave his body. Then 32 to 42, he offered his prayers. Then finally, in the 43rd verse, he leave his final breath. So when 32 verse comes, we recite every day the 10 prayers. Then we start the verse. Okay.
Prabhuji.
Yeah. All right.
Actually, Prabhuji, how to
Yeah. Correct.
Prabhuji, actually, I have a doubt. Means how to control anger.
How to what?
Control anger.
How to control the anger, right? It's very important questions and very broad subject matter, but in a short, I would like to answer. So why the anger comes, see, you need to understand the root cause of this, unless until we go to the root, we do not understand the matter. Okay. So as I said that, anger, I'm just again correlating that verse, dhyayato vishyan pumsa sangas tesu pajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodhat abhijayate. Krodhat abhijayate means the anger comes. So the anger is what? Anger means you are not satisfied with something. Your all senses got agitated. Your mind got agitated, and your senses got agitated. You want to do something, or you want to achieve something which you did not. Or sometimes the anger comes like that. Okay, someone says something, it hurts you, and you become angry. Means what? Your senses got agitated, your mind got agitated. So basically, in the one set, it is beyond your expectation. Sevanandini, can you please take her 1 second? Okay, sorry for this. So I was talking about, so what is the anger? The source is like we are getting agitated, or we want something which is we didn't get that, or so what happens if our we something we did not met our expectation, right? That's what anger comes. So if you see all these things, so we go that like we want something. So what is that want? Want is that something you want to enjoy something materially. That's the one cause. You want to get something. For example, I want to eat um, ice cream. Okay. So when I see the ice cream, that is what the Vishayan, that is what sense object. And from the sense objects, we have different sense objects. Our senses get attracted. By seeing the ice cream, we want to eat. Our tongue got attracted. Oh, I want to eat that. That's something. And we started contemplating on that. Oh, okay, this is very nice. People are eating ice cream. Why, how can I eat that ice cream? How can I develop? I wanted to experience that taste. I want to develop that. That's what the contemplation starts. Our mind is always into that, because our senses saw something, experienced something. It's by the sense object, our senses get attracted. But when the senses get attracted, then senses will trigger to mind. Okay, the mind will start contemplating that. Okay, I want this, I want this, I want this. When the mind got contemplated, you developed attachment. Dhayato Vishyan Pimsa. Dhayato means contemplation. Sanga Sanjay. Dhayato Vishyan Pumsa. Sanga Stesu Pejayati. You developed attachment. Sanjat Sanjayate Kama. When the attachment developed, you develop the kama. Kama means a very strong desire. Okay, now it becomes more strong. I want this. I lust developed, desire, the strong desire developed to get something. Then finally what happens? You develop anger. When you don't get it, then what? It convert into anger. That's what kama krodha avidayate. That is the one instance. Second instance is that if someone says something, then you got your mind, your senses got agitated. Oh, how come he says that? Because ourselves with the body. As long as we think that we are the spirit soul, our ultimate goal is to develop the lost relationship with the Krishna, and this all a temporary designation. Hey, someone says that, for example, I said that someone says that, hey, you are dog. Then it hurts us. How come someone said a dog to me? I'm giving just examples. Because we are understanding we are with the body. I am not a body. I am the man. I'm the man. I'm the woman. I'm the daughter. I'm the kid. How can he say me dog? Actually, when we are not thinking the spirituality level, when we are not, we think that, oh, we are the soul. This body designation, everything is the temporary. No, it should not. That's where the agitation comes and all these things. So that's where. So the two reason we want to get something, we don't get this. That's the anger comes. If someone says something which is beyond our which is a bodily platform, if we try to understand on the bodily platform, if we have a false ego, a false identity, that's where anger comes. So the two things are that. And second thing is that and the other context I would like to say, getting anger, it's not that we can say, if that is the case, is that anger we can control completely. Anger is, what is the natural instance, anger will come, but we need to develop how to suppress that anger and stay in the equilibrium, in the we need to develop the tolerance power. That is what we need to develop the spirituality. When we understand this knowledge, when try to develop, when we do more chanting, this kind of anarthas will be slowly come out from the body. Then we develop the power of tolerance. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Matra Sparsastu Konteya, Sitosno Sukha Dukkada, Agama Apaina Nitya, Stam Stiti Swata Bharata. So this all comes and go. Hey Arjuna, try to develop the power of tolerance. Tam Stiti Swata, develop, become a tolerance, improve the tolerance power. That's what we need to develop. When understand this, then automatically the anger will come. Even though anger comes, we develop the strength to suppress that anger, because we develop the spiritual power. That is what the chanting is important here. The more you chant, the more you become clear from this all the anarthas. So these are 6 anarthas we have, right? Pride, anger, greed, lust, attachment. What else? Illusion. So these are the anarthas which are covering us, which is making us more attached to this material world, which is covering our reality. So we are not we are forgetting our real constitutional position, our real identities, because of this false ego that everything comes. But when you do the chant, the more you chant, more what happens, that anarthas will be slowly gone. Then we develop, when we reach that platform, then nothing will impact us. That is what the main root, I would say. It is clear.
Yes, Prabhuji, it's clear.
Okay. So important is chanting, and the more you chant, more we develop more our relation with Krishna. We want to become close to Krishna, and we develop these qualities. All different quality, right? It automatically comes. When we develop. Well, basically in the one line, if you go back to our original position, then everything will be resolved. And how to go back to the original position, the process is given, right? So bhajana
Satsang.
kriya and sadhu sangha. The bhajana kriya and sadhu sangha, when we are doing, so you understand what is bhajana kriya and sadhu sangha, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes. So when you do the bhajana kriya and sadhu sangha constantly, unflinching, uninterrupted, that's important. Not that okay, I did one day I do and next 5 days I forget. No, constantly, repeatedly, uninterruptedly. If you do this process, then which is the uh, formula for get rid of all everything,
Yes, Prabhuji.
right? Okay, thank you everyone. I think we exceeded 10 more minutes, so I think we can continue tomorrow. Pancha kalpatarubhisha kripa sindhu bhayevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Namaha.
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की
Jai.
जय, श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय,
Jai.
कलकत्ता श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय.
Jai.
हे कृष्णा.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.